Dotun, good evening, oh. Looks like it's just me and you. Hello? I can see you, I can't hear you. Okay, maybe it's talking to someone.
Education. Back then, there was nothing like inclusive education. You went to special schools, and if you were deemed smart enough in the UK and the US, they may put you in a so-called normal school, but it wasn't exactly a policy. So I grew up outside Africa, so I did a couple of terms in a special school in the UK, but then I was largely homeschooled by my mother until I was 12 years old. Then I went to mainstream school for the first time, and I went to JSS1, um, and that was my first introduction into the Ghana educational system, and it was very interesting because I was dealing with people who had never seen anybody with my disability before. But they were very accepting and very helpful. And I don't know what your experiences were within the educational system, but I personally had a good one. And I don't take it for granted because I know that there are lots of people with disabilities who are seriously discriminated against, who are bullied, I mean, who basically have a very bad experience in school. So I know that I was blessed in that regard. So after JSS, I had to go to SSS, but because of the disability of funding terrains of the schools, I could not go to SSS. So I went to do the computer course, and after the computer course, I started working as a programmer. I am so I will tell you about how I got my first job so that it would inspire you to be courageous to go after what you want. So for me, I when I finished my diploma in IT, I decided that I wanted to be a programmer, a software developer. So I started looking around the 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 city to see which software companies are, are available, and I there were three at the time. You're talking about the late 90s. I don't know how many of you were born then, but that should tell you how old I am. Because uh, so the late 90s, there were only three major software companies in Ghana, and I identified one, and I remember I walked into the office, and I basically asked for a job. There was no job vacancy or anything. I just had to speak to the manager, and I told him that, well, I want to work with him, and if he gives me the opportunity, I promise that he'll never regret it. And that is how I got my first job in the software industry. Now, that shows courage, that shows determination. And back then, I didn't see it as a big deal. Because I reckoned, what is the worst that can happen? He can tell me no. But no never killed anybody. We miss out on opportunities because we are afraid of rejection. And when you get over that fear of rejection and you realize that the worst the person can tell you is no, you can there's nothing that you cannot try your hand at. So I'd like to encourage all of you to be courageous. And and go out and look for and try and get opportunities that you were previously afraid to get because you are afraid of rejection. Like like those with physical disabilities, I also have a physical disability. I work with crutches. I used to work with a walker, then I graduated to crutches. But then as you grow older, then your body becomes a bit more tired. So these days, I I alternate between a wheelchair and a walker and all. So for those of you with physical disability, believe me, I've been in your shoes and I know what you are going through. The the towns are not accessible. It's difficult to move around. It's difficult to even go from A to B. You have to thank yourself. Do I really want to climb the stairs today or not? Because sometimes you're just tired. You don't want to do that. But because of the environment you find yourself in, you have to do that if you want to go somewhere or you want to achieve your goal for the day. So after I started working with the software company, I worked with them for 3 years. I moved to another software company. Then I did another diploma in IT. Then after that, I had two diplomas, 5 years, 6 years working experience. I wanted to get my degree. So I started looking around universities outside Ghana. And I applied to a university in the UK and they granted me direct entry to the final year based on my diplomas and my work experience. I went directly into the final year and graduated 1 year later with a BSc in computer science. Then I came back to Ghana and I continued working. Then after after 8 years or so, one of my colleagues at, at, at the organization I was working at started a microfinance company and he wanted me to join and help with the IT infrastructure. So I joined him and because I'm a software engineer, I tend to like to solve problems. So when I joined him, the software they were using wasn't very efficient, so I decided to write one for them to use. And because of that software, they were able to expand quickly and other microfinance companies wanted to use the software. So then he saw an opportunity for us to start an IT company. And that is how we started our IT company, which became the number one provider of microfinance solutions in Ghana. We even had some clients in Nigeria, in Lagos and Kaduna. Uh, yes. So that and I was with them for about 11, 12 years. And then I left, and right now I'm working as a consultant for a Canadian NGO. But what you can take out of this story is resilience and and positive thinking. Throughout my career, I let my work speak for itself. So by the time people got to know who was behind the work, they could not discriminate against me because I had already done the work, they were using it, so they cannot now say that because I have a disability, they are going to stop using what I have developed. So what I'd like to encourage you all to do is that whatever you are doing, do it to the best of your abilities. And I mean it, and I mean that. And I'm not saying it just because that is what people will say. because you have a lot against you, especially in this part of the world where you are discriminated against because simply because of your disability. You are not taken seriously. You are sometimes called, treated as if you are a curse to society. You can be expelled from your village or from your community because of your disability. So you have a lot to basically to get to compete. You have to do a lot more than the average person has to do. Now there may be times you may feel like giving up, and you may feel like, oh, is it worth it? Yes, it is worth it because you cannot afford to give up. You cannot afford to say that you will not go to work today because you have a headache, or your leg is hurting. I always say that, look, there was a time when we were working, where my office was, the lift got spots for 3 months. I had to climb 4 flights of stairs every day for 3 months. I got a knee injury as a result, but I did not let that prevent me from going to work. I bandaged my knee, and I continued climbing the stairs. And that is the extent to which you are expected to work if you want to be excellent at your job, and to stand out. So yes, it is difficult. There's no support. There's nothing from the government. But then this is the position you find yourself in. So what do you do? Because at the end of the day, there's nobody to look after you when you grow old. You cannot rely on anything, any welfare from the government or anything, because whatever it is they are giving you, it can barely even cover your feeding. So you have to work. You have, now that you are young, now that you have the energy, now that you have the facilities, you have to work so that when you grow older, and there's nothing, and you cannot work, you have something to at least look after yourself, and you'll not be dependent on people. Because one thing that I do not want is to be dependent on anybody financially, because already sometimes you have to be dependent on people physically, because you may need help to cross the street, or you may need help to climb the stairs, or to get out of your car. That you cannot help. But where you can, and but what you can do to make yourself as independent as possible, you should do. And that is my message for you today. Work hard at whatever it is you are doing, and stand out. I remember there was a time that I got an award, and I always cherish that award more than, although I appreciate all the awards that I've gotten. That one is special to me because they had no idea that I had a disability when they gave me that award. They gave it to me based on the work that I had done. And when they found out that I had a disability, they were very happy that they are giving me the award, because they had no idea about my physical state. And that is what I'm talking about when I say let your work talk for itself. So that you are, because at the end of the day, we don't want special favors. We want equity. We want to be able to compete equitably across the board. I don't want somebody to sit somewhere and say that because I have a disability, I got this special favor, so I do not deserve to be where I am. That's not what I want. I want a world where the facilities are in place so that I can compete equitably with my able-bodied counterparts, and see whether I deserve to be in that position, or whether I deserve to get that job. So that is basically what I will say. And I am open for questions and feedback.
Course again.
Thank you. So who's going to
Bolaye.
who's going to moderate the questions?
Yeah, I'm here to moderate. Since I'm the only man in the house today, I will.
Our Oga, yeah, our Oga in the house.
Yes, I'm the only man in the house, so I will do myself the honor of moderating all the women. Okay, great. So this is a very inspiring story, and I'm going to give credence to this story because when I heard about you in MIT, like I said, I was digging. I was in MIT. I was studying innovation, and I was looking at fintech innovation in Africa. I didn't also know that you had a disability. I didn't find out about the disability part until probably another 7 years or 8 years later, when you were being invited by Nestle to speak, and I correlated the name, and I wondered the same Farida. I went back to where checked you out. There, I think you were working on Logicel at that time. Okay, so I was checking out different people working on fintech, and I saw that name, and I went back to check. Is it the same Logicel? Oh, so this lady had a disability. I didn't have an idea. All I saw was somebody working on fintech, and there was a lot of noise around the world about banking the unbanked in sub-Saharan Africa. So everybody working on something around it was coming up on the global scene. So I think this is a very beautiful story, and I'm sure everybody around the table here is basically inspired by the story. So I have a number of questions, of course, I would have loved to ask you, but let me first of all allow the audience, if anybody has a pressing question, I will take them two. You take two of yours in the audience, and I will give two of mine, so we can have a balanced opportunity to have insights, into your career. Uh, Okay, so any very pressing question from the audience, so raise your hand, or maybe I should ask mine first. So if you are okay, I can see Esther. Okay, Esther, please go. Let's hear you, Esther. Isaac Esther Chidera.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma, for this inspiring story. My question is, here in Nigeria, persons with disability, especially people that don't have opportunity, let me say as you do, to study abroad and to study a course of your choice, and you work in a global tech. Some of us have that urge, but there's no opportunity. Someone like me, I knew how I pushed and pushed and pushed, and with the help of scholarship and the help of my mom, I was able to get education. So what is their faith? People like that are disabled in Nigeria, that they are eager to become like you, but no opportunity, and the government is not helping matters, and their family members are not helping matters. I remember a case of a lady here in Nigeria, in Abuja. If the family don't even allow her to come out, she will be crying. She just wants to come outside to see the world, but she's always locked inside. In that case, what do you advise the person to do?
So as I said, I understand some of these challenges because don't forget I didn't start my career going abroad or anything. I started my career in Ghana. I went to to our local JSS system, and I did a computer course. So I've been a bit where you are. I was blessed that I was able to get an employer who was forward thinking and wanted to give me the opportunity. I can appreciate that it's not common, especially across Africa, to get a forward thinking employer. But these days, you have an advantage that we didn't have. You have access to the internet. You can do something on social media and put it up, and people will see it and get interested in what you are doing. So use your social media time wisely. And I always say that look, there's a lot that you can do if you are doing if you are doing farming, or you are making clothes, or you are doing design or whatever. You can take videos, put it on TikTok, let people know what you are doing, and ramp up your following. And there's so much you can learn online for free. If you go on LinkedIn, you see there are all these artificial intelligence courses for free online. Harvard University, MIT, they're always giving away free courses and some of these things. So those tools can advise you on how to get access to those courses. But there's a lot that you can do on your own. So what I would encourage you to do is that if you are the kind of person who spends your time watching videos on TikTok and Instagram and all those things, you are wasting your life. Use it to, to better yourself. Use the time to learn something that you can use to make to improve your livelihood and prove to society that you can do it. There are people who are just waiting for people to prove that they can do something, then they will take it from there. Personally, if you come to me and you tell me that, oh, help me, then I'll ask you that what have you done so far so that I can see where I can help you with. I'm not going to help you from zero. I expect you to have gotten to level 3 or level 4 before I will come and help you because I've helped a lot of people from zero and it hasn't amounted to anything. Because there's another thing about our community. A lot of people with disabilities like to take handouts. We don't want to improve our lives. We just want to be there and let people come and give us money and things. And that is one thing that I do not want, want to hear or see. So if somebody comes to me and they say that they want help, I will ask them, what are they doing? I'll never give anybody money just for the sake of giving the person money. I'd rather pay for somebody to learn the course. And when the person learns the course, I'll expect the person to start working or doing something with that course. Okay. Next question.
Thank you so much. Okay, go ahead, Choma.
Okay, good evening, sir. Please, Jumai has something to say. Jumai wants to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, ma. For me,
You know, they can write it. They can write it in the chat too.
yes, but she wants to say something. She wants to sign. She says that the person living with, as a person that is a deaf. Yes, it's just I'm trying to see her because of her network, but I'm seeing her. Okay. Okay, please, her network is bad. Her network is bad. I can see her now. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, this is my network.
I can see her. I put her on spotlight so you can see her better.
Okay, okay, ma. Thank you, ma. Okay, okay. Yes. Yes. Mm. Yes. Okay. I'm seeing. Okay. Let me see. Okay, she said that as a person with disability in Nigeria, let me see, that is doing a business, and then sometimes people don't buy from them because when they hear that you're a person with disability, they will not patronize you. So what will they do? I want to know. Okay. Okay, and please, they also want to do their business outside Nigeria. How can you help them to do their business outside Nigeria as a person with disability?
So with regards to them not patronizing them, I would advise them to get a partner who can fund the business for them. That is the best thing you can do for now, because until they get basically whoever it is that you are getting to fund the business has to be somebody you trust. So you can go into business with somebody, let the person do the selling for you, then you can share the profit with the person. That is the best way to do it. Personally, when I was doing when I had the tech company, I had a partner, and he was doing the marketing and the sales and all those things, and I was doing developing the technology. So I hardly dealt with clients, but then by then I already had a reputation for being very good at what I'm doing. So it didn't really matter to them whether I had a disability or not. And so what I would say is, if you are in that situation, try and get somebody. Maybe it can be a family member or a friend who you trust to partner with the person. Let the person handle the sales and the customer service. Then you can either do the farming or do the dressmaking or whatever business you are doing. Then give it to the person to sell. Because that is better than not selling anything at all.
Thank you very much. I think that was, yeah, really creative. While we wait for the next question, there was a part of when I was reading about you that I found inspiring. The fact that you started typing from when you were a child because you couldn't write, and that brought you into the world of tech very early, because yeah, you had to type everything anyhow, and when the computers came, it became more like an advantage that you had already learned how to type. Can you share about how that actually affected, was it really a positive like that, in terms of helping you to catch up on programming?
Yeah, so actually I actually learned how to write my first program when I was 7 or so, because we had, because of this typing thing. When computers became a bit affordable, we got a computer in the house. So and there was a language called Basic Programming Language at the time on the computer. So I taught myself how to do a little programming at the age of 7, and that is how I got interested in the whole thing. I didn't really take it seriously. I think I'll make it a profession until I finished JSS, and I realized that that was one of, in fact, that was my only option because I couldn't go to secondary school. So what do I do? So my mom decided that I should go and do the diploma in IT, since I had already done some courses and things, and that is how I started my career. So yes, I mean, I always say that you can look at your disability as being a disadvantage, or you can find a way of turning it around to make it advantageous for you. It is all a mindset thing. I'm not saying that it is easy. It is not easy at all. Believe me, I know. I'm 46 years old and I've lived with a disability my whole life. So I know what everybody is going through in various stages and all. But you cannot have a defeatist mindset because that will not help. Always look at what can I do? What can we do? How can I make things better for myself? I'm always looking for new ways of improving my life. I go to the gym these days because I don't want to do physiotherapy because I find physiotherapy boring. So what did I do? I went to the gym and I found a personal trainer. So I go to the gym, I lift weights, I do all those things to keep my body strong and to make to at least maintain where I have reached in terms of my physical health, so that I don't go down because as you go older things worsen. I mean, 2 years ago I had to do a hip replacement and all. So it's not that it is easy. It is not easy, but you have to find a way of making things better for your life because you're the only one who can do it. Nobody else can do it for you. Next
Thank
question.
you so much. I think there's somebody who wants to ask. Queen, can you ask your question?
Okay, good evening, all. I was a bit distracted, but I have a question because I just had that you're into tech, and I want to know how were you able to sell yourself in in that tech field, and why selling yourself? How was it easy for you to get clients to give you job to do, and what are the procedures or steps that you take, or that you took to come to that level of selling yourself and getting people to give you job to do? Yes, thank you very much, ma'am.
I did not sell myself. I proved what I could do. I did the work and the work spoke, spoke for me. And that is what I'm trying to tell everybody. That be excellent at whatever it is you are doing and let your work speak for you. Because you cannot sell yourself when you have a disability in this part of the world. I think now they see you, people are already going to say that you cannot do anything. So the best approach is that if it is justice you are making, make sure that everything is on point. Make sure that your finishing is neat. Your buttons don't come up when somebody wears them. Your whatever is aligned. Make sure that everything is on point, so that somebody will wear the dress and somebody will say that who made it for you. Then by the time they get to know you have a disability, they like the dress so much that it will not matter to them whether you have a disability or not. So let your work speak for itself.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, amazing. So at this point, I want to ask you about metaverse. I learned you worked in Microsoft, right? And then you did some things. Uh, would you want to share some of your experience around that with us?
That everybody here know what the metaverse is. If they don't know, then it will be a bit confusing to tell them about the metaverse.
Okay. Maybe you just share your experience in Microsoft. I think that will help
So
generally.
okay, so Microsoft, I worked with Microsoft Nigeria for 2 years. So I was actually working remotely from Ghana with the office in Nigeria. And that is what I'm saying, that whatever it is you are doing, make sure that you are very good at your job. Because there were lots of people in Nigeria who were qualified, but because of my qualifications and my experience and all those things, they decided to hire me from Ghana to work there. So so when you are very good at your job, it will not matter where you are or where you are geographically located, you'll be headhunted. And that is that's something that I cannot overemphasize. And luckily for us these days, because of diversity and inclusion, a lot of these big organizations will like to hire somebody with a disability. But the problem is they cannot find qualified people with disabilities to fill those roles. So if you have those qualifications and you have the network, or you have the the access to where to those jobs, you are likely to get it. That is if you are qualified. So I worked with them for 2 years. The metaverse is kind of like virtual reality, and I was working with a services testing organization. It was quite an interesting experience because Microsoft is a very inclusive organization. They are the first organization I have worked with which actually made adjustment for my disability. Prior to that, nobody has ever asked me what 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 I need to make sure that I'm comfortable with my disability. So I was used to working like somebody without a disability. But Microsoft, they asked me, do I need special equipment? Do I need special software and all these things? But as I said, I didn't need any of those things because I had worked my whole life without any of those accessibility advantages. So yeah.
Amazing. I think the key takeaway here is that the world is your stage. When it comes to being exceptional, it's not about being exceptional in your village. It's about being exceptional globally. And I think there are some things that you have said which has to do with excellence. There's always an opportunity for an excellent person. I mean, the world would always give space for an excellent person. And there are certain things I want to re-echo. I've been in the multinational, I've worked in the biggest multinational. I'm a pharmacist. I've worked in the biggest pharma industry in the world. I've worked in the biggest food industry in the world. And I can tell you, for everyone that cares to hear, that there are opportunities for people with disability. Every big organization today, I'm a recruiter, I interview people every now and then. The challenge really is that we oftentimes do not find people who fit in to our criteria. And many times, people come in and just want to be considered strictly based on their disability. And that is almost impossible. Okay. So anytime if you can give your best, if you can give your all, don't compete in the local league. Don't, when you're trying to get a job with Malam Usman Enterprises, is going to discriminate against you. But if you talk to Microsoft, it's going to be a different ball game entirely. And that's one key learning here. Any other question from the house before I ask about Logicel? Any other question from the house? You can raise your hand if you want to ask a question. Okay, while we wait for that, so in the classes we have taken before now, we have been talking about understanding your customer, what your customer wants. Okay, we have taken some classes on the basic 4 P's of marketing. I know that when you guys were setting up Logicel, you had a lot of customer a kind of a lot of research into what exactly the customer wanted. So you were able to fit in exactly what you want, what the program into what they wanted. Can you share a little bit insight into this so that it helps us into developing our products or our services, not just for an imaginary space, but for somebody that really needs it? Thank you.
So for us, we had a microfinance. So as we were building it, we were using it. So we were our own customer. Then as we got more customers, we made them part of the process. So if today they say they want this feature, we will evaluate it and see whether it is a feature that the other organizations will benefit from, and if it is, we will add it. And we made them feel as if they were part of the process. So a lot of them got a personal had a personal relationship with the software, and they took it quite personally. That after a while, some of us were like, but it's just software. Well, why are you getting so emotional about it? But because they felt that they were part of the building process, it helped them to identify with it. So whatever it is you are doing, understand your customer base, understand what they need. If you are able to get to what they need, and you're able to differentiate between the needs and the wants, because the need is what will keep them with you, because they need it. Once I feel that are nice to have, but they are not essential for the running of their business or whatever it is they are doing. So let me give you an example. If you are doing farming and you realize that that there is, okay, let's say you are farming tomatoes. Then you realize that there is a chop bar near you, and they are always buying tomatoes from you. Then you make sure that that is what you do. You farm tomatoes. There's no need for you to go and start farming onions or garden eggs, which are not needed. If later on you have made a lot of money and you want to add those things to it, fine. But focus. Don't spread yourself so thin that you cannot concentrate on on one thing. Because what you realized was that we were just doing software for the microfinance company. That was all we were doing. We did not attempt to do software for the banks. We did not attempt to do buying and selling software because that wasn't what our business was about. So you have to understand what your business is about, understand your customers, and understand why they are coming to you as opposed to your competitors. Once you understand why they are coming to you as opposed to your competitors, then you capitalize on that and make sure that whatever it is you are doing right, you continue doing it right, then you improve upon it. But if you are going to spread yourself thin and be doing all kinds of things, when I was listening to the introduction, some of you are doing 3 or 4 things. And I'm wondering how much attention you're able to give to everything that you are doing. Because for anything to for you to be good and excellent at anything, you have to give it a lot of attention. You have to focus on it. You have to learn about it. But if your attention is divided, then it's difficult for you to become excellent at 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 it, because all you are doing is you be okay at everything, but as I said, it's not good enough to just be okay when you have a disability in this part of the world, because there are lots of people without disabilities who are okay you have to be excellent. You have to prove yourself. You have to go over and above to prove yourself so that people would come to you.
Amazing, amazing. At this point, I want to introduce members of the organizers of this program actually to you, and if any of them also has certain things to say. I'll start with my I'll call him my co-faculty. Her name is Damilola Odukoya. She's a person with albinism. We've been working together for several years. And then I'm going to allow Dr. Shola to maybe if she wants to also have a question. I have Dr. Shola on the board and the coordinator, Dr. Imachima, and then I have some of my colleagues, Blessing, um, Blessing, Eno, and Mr. Let's get his name now. Okay, Mr. Victor Digi. Okay, so I have a number of them on the call here. Please, if you have something to say, I want to give the floor to you now before we also continue.
Mr. Doctor, are you calling on my attention?
I'm asking if you have anything to say at this point.
No. We are having a good time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, at this point, I want to come to your book on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I thought people might want to say something, but so my name is Dr. Ima Chima. I'm the founder of Empower to Thrive Development Initiative. And we are the hosts of this particular project, which is Empower Her Ability. I'm so happy that, Farida, that you were able to make it today. I've heard a lot about you through Dr. So I really did want to be a part of today's meeting and get to, even though it's not in person, but at least e-meet you. And so I've listened to your story. It's truly inspiring. I like a couple of things that you've mentioned, I like the fact that you've emphasized excellence throughout. I think that's something that we need to keep saying over and over again, that disability doesn't necessarily limit your ability to be excellent at what you do. It's just figuring out a way to be excellent and what you need to reach there. I like the fact that you gave, when someone asked a question about how were you able to maybe interact with your clients and that sort of thing. And you specifically talked about how you had someone who worked with you, who did more of the marketing, the interfacing with clients, and you did more of the software development aspect of the work. And I think that's an important thing to bring out, the need for partnerships. I think people feel like they have to work alone all the time, and that's not something that's or rather, culturally, people tend to think of a one-man enterprise, sole entrepreneurship, whereas there's room for partnerships and working with others and bringing on people that can actually strengthen your business. So there's a lot more that you've shared, but thanks for sharing your inspiring story tonight. And I'm looking forward to much more interaction with you as time goes on. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Dr. Chima. So that's Dr. Chima. She's the founder of the organization. So she basically hired all of us. And now
Dr.
I'm happy.
That's
So I'm happy she's happy, And I mean, it's interesting that I've never really met Farida one-on-one because I go to Accra like I go to, basically maybe Farida should know I actually manage my business unit for both Nigeria and Ghana. So I come. I'm sure next time now I'm going to certainly organize some kind of a lunch or a dinner if she would have the time. But it's really a pleasure. Dr. Chima is an ophthalmologist turned a development work manager, and she has a lot of
public health
experience in the development.
experts.
Okay, a public health expert. Okay, an ophthalmologist turned from the theater to the field. Okay, turned a public health expert, and she's quite doing a lot. At this point, I want to ask. I want to also welcome Dami. Like I said, Dami is my partner faculty on this project. And I'm sure she has a few things to say. Over to you, Dami.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Thank you, everyone on the call. It's been an interesting evening. Thank you so much, Farida, for gracing us with your presence this evening. I just want to tell the participants something. So Farida did share something that is very important, and I just want to call it out. She did say that her primary education she was primarily homeschooled in her younger years. And I wanted to call this out because a lot of disabilities are really genetic, like they move from one generation to another. So it is possible for some of us on this call, because we're basically women, to have children with disability as well, maybe in our immediate generation or the generation after, whatever be the case. But what I just wanted to point out here is the power of parenting. It's very important that if you find that you have a child with disability, that you are ready to put in the work. We can celebrate Farida today. We can say, oh, but she had a good foundation. And that you can never take away what your foundation does for you when it comes to how you show up in life generally. So I just wanted to point that out. And I wanted to say, Farida, if your mom is still around, a lot of kudos to her. She actually set you up well in life. And I had the same experience as well. And I'd like every one of us to learn from this and know that to give a person with disability chance in life, the first thing is a good foundation. So thank you very much, everyone. That's just what I wanted to call out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dami. I'm sure that Dami and you have some kind of similarities, in terms of growing up. You grew up with a diplomat. She grew up with a senior military officer in Nigeria. And I'm sure, those kind of upbringings also, the commitment of mothers, like I said, I mean, is amazing. And some of when you see this kind of program for women, you might think about it and what about the men? Yeah, there could be some more opportunity for the men as well. But really, the impact of the women in the society cannot be overemphasized. Okay, so at this point, I want to talk about your book and Hamza. Maybe you would, if it's something you would like to tell us about.
Well, I'm always looking for ways of doing advocacy to especially raise awareness for cerebral palsy. It's very much misunderstood because of the way we show up. People tend to think we have mental disabilities as well, and I'm always looking for ways and means of letting people know that just because our mannerisms are not what people will deem as normal, or you see us in wheelchairs or using walkers, it doesn't mean we are mentally challenged. And I saw after I watched Black Panther in 2017, 2018, I saw the impact of the superhero world, and I didn't feel represented in that regard. So I decided to come up with my own superhero, which features which who has cerebral palsy like me. Now, one thing about me is when I feel that something is not being done right in society, or I feel there's a vacuum, I don't think I should wait for somebody else to fix it. If I can fix it, I'll fix it myself, because I mean, why should you wait for somebody else to fix it when if you have the ability to fix it, you should just do it yourself. So instead of complaining that, oh, why haven't they done a superhero in cerebral palsy, I decided to write one myself, and I teamed up with a local game development company called Lanatias, and that is how we came out with Kamza. Now, because Kamsa has cerebral palsy and there was no other superhero with cerebral palsy, it went worldwide. I mean, I had people reaching out to me from as far as Australia, thanking me for coming up with Kamsa because the first represented and all those things. And right now, they're actually developing a video game out of it, and we'll see how it goes. But what I like to encourage you all to do is that if you feel something is not being done right, and you have the ability to do it, do it. Don't wait for anybody to do it, because if you are waiting for the government to do it, believe me, it will not get done today or tomorrow. We are not a priority for our government.
This is powerful, powerful, powerful. If there's something you want to change, just go ahead and change it. Don't wait for another person to do it. And this is really, really powerful. I read about the Kanza game that is coming up, and I found I was asking myself so many things from a single person. you know, coming up with everything, okay? you know. So it's so do you see yourself as being talented? Okay.
Not really. I mean, honestly, when people come to me and say that, oh, I am manipulating, I'm like, why? Because all I'm doing is trying to live my best life within the limitations that I have. But what happens with me is that I get bored. When I get bored, good things happen, because boredom tends to spark my creativity. So whenever I'm bored with my job, or I'm bored with a certain aspect of my life, then something like this comes up. Because what launched me into the limelight was I wrote a book called Definition of a Miracle back in 2009, yeah. And prior to that, nobody knew me. But I wrote that book, and I went on the TV station to promote it. Then suddenly I became very popular in Ghana, and people got to know about me worldwide. I was on CNN, I was on BBC, and all those things. So all what what you should get out of that is you can do something small, then it will throw you into the limelight. Don't do it because you want to be in the limelight. Do it because you feel that you are helping society, or you are doing something to help yourself. Then it will. Then if people find it helpful, then it will go far. But do not focus on fame or anything. I didn't focus on that. I did not do anything thinking that it will blow up and I'll become this person. I did it because I wanted to improve my life and make life better and raise awareness so that if somebody sees a child with a disability, they want to befriend that child. They will not discriminate against that child. They will see the possibilities of what the child can be if given the right education and framework to work with.
Thank you so much for that. At this point, I mean, I know that we will still be able to have other opportunity with you in the future, particularly to mentor some of our members of the team when they start after they write their business plans. And we also look forward to an opportunity with you when they're pitching their just a session when they are pitching their businesses so that we could also look at and select some of the strongest and most viable business ideas. We are at the early stage of this training. We're still going to go on, I mean, with a couple of weeks. And as it goes, we'll certainly let you know how we are going so that possibly at any point you could add any value to us. We will really be open to it. But at this point, if there's anyone that probably joined us in the middle of the class and would like to ask a question, I want to still put an opportunity out there before we round up this session today. If you joined us maybe in the middle of the class and you would like to introduce yourself, everybody did introduce themselves at the beginning of the class. But if you were not here when we introduced ourselves, I'm open to allow you to introduce yourself. And if you have a question, we'll be also open to hearing those questions from you. Anybody such, you can just raise your hand and then we have you before we just put a rounding up to this session. Any further question from the audience? Anyone who joined late and would love to introduce themselves? Okay. 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 So in the absence of uh, in the absence of any other, I know that you live in Ghana, and I mean, I work in both countries. I work in Ghana, I work in Nigeria. I know that there are really not so much differences in the two environments. I mean, we have much more similarities than any difference at all. Okay. So I would like you to share with us, when you look at the environment, are there any business ideas that come to your mind that people with disabilities can explore in this environment?
Assistive technology, our aids, our crutches, our wheelchairs, we are the best ones to design them because we know what we want. We know what we need. So if you can link up with a welder or carpenter or something, you know what you are using and how it doesn't work for you or what you wish you could have. So just put it down, draw it down, put it up. And there are a lot of of NGOs and things which can take you to the next level for you, but you have to start. So let me give you an example. There's this hackathon which my friend started. It's called DHAC. It is a disability hackathon. What we do is every year we get students from tertiary institutions to come together to form teams and come up with solutions to help people with disabilities. Then so we have about 4 or 5 teams. Then there's a judging panel, and the winner gets about 5,000 CDs. 5,000 CDs is the equivalent of $500. I don't know how much that is in Naira, but yeah. So that is what we do, and as part of the team, you have to have somebody with a disability. with a disability which you are providing the solution for. So there was one team that did a smart cane for the visually impaired people. So they got a visually impaired student to be part of their team. So as they were building it, she was trying it, seeing what worked, what doesn't work. And they even did a whole documentary on it, which I can share with you later. But these are some of the things that this is because there's a whole fund for assistive technology solutions in Africa. I was part of the judging panel. It's called Global Disability Innovation Hub. It is an organization in the UK. They were given up to is it 20 million dollars or 20 million pounds for solutions to help for solutions for assistive technology solutions in Africa and the Middle East. GSSMA also has a similar fund, and they are just looking for solutions. So it can either be something to help those with physical disabilities, hearing disabilities. If you can do if you have programming skills, and you can build a video, anything to text application, voice to text application, because that is what the last winner of the disability hackathon did and won, because he was a hearing impaired guy. So these are some of the things that you can do. And for me, I always say that if you want to make money, solve a problem. Look for a problem to solve, and you make money. And we're in Africa. We have so many problems. It doesn't take much to find a problem, and that is the best way to look at it. So if there's something that you wish you could was there to make your life easier, think about it and say that, okay, how can I link up with somebody to develop whatever it is, whether it is a physical tool, whether it's a software or whatever, to implement, so that my life will be easier. And when your life is easier as a result of it, other people's lives will also find it useful.
Amazing, amazing. And at this point, what you were saying resonates. About a couple of months ago, I had a call from the head of Department of Electrical Electronics in one of the foremost universities in Nigeria. I will specifically mention the name Obafemi Awolowo University, who asked me if I could help source anybody who wants partnership on prosthetics and orthotic devices. And he said he had worked extensively. So in Nigeria, prostheses are really expensive because the majority of the pylons that are being used to build them are imported. And then he had an idea of using locally fabricated materials for those pylons that would probably, he said, it could probably bring down the cost to as low as 10% as what the present cost is, and still maintain the aesthetics of it. Because in those days, they used to have some locally made materials, but they didn't have the appropriate aesthetics. But with technology now in Nigeria, they are saying, okay, if someone can work on it, if someone could be interested in developing it, they could deploy the technology to be able to run that. Okay, so I'm putting that out in the class in case anybody wants to explore. I'm ready to actually make that link. Okay, so it's really been an exciting time with Farida today. This point is just to have a final word, and then we'll close the discussion. Okay. Any final advice and then we'll close the class for today.
Let your work speak for itself. That's the best advice I can give you. So make sure that whatever it is you are doing is so good that people will not care whether you have a disability or not.
Amazing. Let your work speak for itself. It cannot be overemphasized. At this point, I want to really say thank you, Farida. It's amazing having you. I've read about you, but I think meeting you is even more exciting and more interesting than what we have read. We look forward to more sessions, and when we can, as we can have you on this, and as your schedule allows us, and I believe every one of us have learned a lot in this session. So I'm just going to ask one of the participants to do a vote of thanks. Anyone that wants to do a vote of thanks on the behalf of everybody, you can raise your hand or mute your mic and appreciate Farida for this beautiful session.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello, class. Okay. I want to say a very big thank you to the organizers of Empower Her Ability, the founder and the host. Thank you very much for bringing this to reality. And I want to thank our host for today, Ms. Farida. When she was speaking, like you just have this feeling that this is somebody that is in this, and everything was just so relatable. And her words are so striking, and the most catchy word I heard from her today was that you should not dispose yourself in a place whereby your disability should give you an edge. Anything you are trying to aim, it should be that you deserve it, and let it be visible from what you have done. Let your work be the driving force of what brings people to you, and not because you are disabled one way or the other. So thank you very much, Ms. Farida. And so I want to tell you that that school is my school. I wanted to also ask about if you could do a little recap on what you said about the electrical project, something like that. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Ene. So did you school in OAU, Ene?
I'm currently schooling there.
Okay, so what are you studying?
I'm doing my degree now. I did diploma already in nursing, so I'm running my degree program there.
Nothing. Okay, so if it's something you're interested in, I can link you up to the professor. He's in electronics, and I can give his contact.
I didn't actually get the topic, but I
Okay,
just
he's
heard.
on assistive devices. Basically, he's looking at prosthetics and orthotics. Okay, so prosthetics are basically additional appendages worn by amputees, and they can be very expensive. They can be very, very expensive. I know a good prosthesis in Nigeria now costs well over 10 million naira. Okay, so what he's saying is that if they use local materials, it can come very low, less than 10% of that cost. It's not the first time people have tried local materials, but when they use local materials, it doesn't look fine. It is not aesthetically appealing. But he's saying that technology has moved past that level now, and that they can develop something else locally that will be aesthetically appealing. But if anybody is interested in it, then they will have to partner with him. So if you're interested, we can take up the discussion outside the class. I'm open to introducing you to him, and then you can pick it up from there. And I'm sure Farida has already spoken about a lot of funding opportunities. So if there are need to, possibly put proposals together to put something together, I know it's always stronger when you have a collaboration with a university. Most of the time, people get more confident in putting the funds in you, and you can make your plans come to reality on time. Thanks so much, Ene, and thanks so much, Farida, for this very beautiful session. I want to say that I personally have also learned, about excellence, we'll all add more value. You've added a lot of value to all of us, and we'll all take note of what you have taught us, implement it. And I will always tell my classmates that what would make us happy is to see your businesses successful. Is at the end of this class, we're able to say we have 10, 15, 20 businesses that are thriving and are successful, and the employers of labor will be excited that we had an incubator that worked and was successful. At this point, I want to say thank you to everyone and have a very lovely evening. Thank you.
Bye bye. Have a good
Bye.
evening.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Madam Farida, for coming. We really enjoyed you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I will enjoy your class. They're still talking. No. Okay.